Hi, my name's Stuart Lynch, and in this video we're going to explore how we can stylize text for our text views in SwiftUI. We'll start by looking at how we can create a text view with the Markdown-formatted based language version of the string as the localized key. We'll also see how we can utilize string interpolation to combine and stylize our strings and present them in a text view. And finally, we'll take a look at how the power of the attributed string can be used in SwiftUI. There's a lot to cover, so if this is what you want to learn, then keep watching. I love getting your feedback, so tap the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video and leave a comment below. Make sure you subscribe to the video and ring that bell to get notifications of new videos. And if you want to support my work, you can buy me a coffee. I have a starter app that I created for this video, and I encourage you to download it from the link in the description and work along with me. Once completed, you'll have something that you can refer back to in the future. There are 3 tabs, each one representing one of the 3 topics that we'll be covering. And for the most part, you'll be able to see the results in the preview or in the simulator. But in at least one instance, we're going to have to view on an attached device. In preparing for this video, I researched and found a lot of very useful blogs and web posts. I'll leave a link in the description to each one of these should you wish to read them as well. The first tab is for Markdown. And Markdown's a lightweight markup language that is used to create formatted text. It was invented by John Gruber and Aaron Schwartz in 2004 as a way to write in an easy-to-read and easy-to-write format that could be converted to HTML. The syntax of Markdown is designed to be simple and intuitive, using plain text to indicate formatting. Markdown's widely used in the software development community, as well as in academic writing and blogging, and I personally use Markdown in all of my writing now, including the script I created for this video. There are only a few Markdown styles that are supported in Swift so far, but I hope this will change over time. The inline styles are supported and make simple styling of our strings in a text view really easy. So on this page, I have a form with a couple of sections and some labeled content rows so that you'll see what we're trying to create. Currently, we're displaying plain text everywhere with no styling. To stylize any part of a string as bold text, you can surround the text with either 2 asterisks, like this, or you could also use 2 underlines, like this. To stylize any part of a text as italicized text, you can surround the text with either 1 asterisk, like this, or like with bold, we have an alternative, and we can use a single underline. To stylize any part of a string as strike-through text, you surround the text with either 1 tilde character, like this, and there are no alternative characters, but you can use 2, like this. Monospace text is great for displaying code. So to stylize any text as monospace text, you can surround the text with a backtick character. These are all very handy ways to set styles on part of our text. So if we take a look at that sample string provided at the top of this view, let's stylize the different parts of this first sentence. We'll style bold as bold, surrounding it with 2 asterisks. For italic, let me use a single asterisk to surround this. And then for strike through, let me use the tilde character. And I'll surround these 2 words to make it monospace text by surrounding it with backticks. Now you can see in our second section where I display this sample text, those strings aren't stylized though. If we want to stylize that text, we can do one of 2 things. We can use an init to initialize the string within our text view. And now you see that it's stylized. Or we can, when we create our variable or constant, specify that it is a localized string key type. And now the text is stylized once again. The second sentence contains a web link, and Markdown has a nice way to format strings as links that are active in SwiftUI text views. To create a link in Markdown, you use the following syntax. The visible text for your link is surrounded by square brackets, and this is immediately followed by the link URL within parentheses. Only the visible text in the square brackets is displayed, but the link itself is active. So for a web link, we can surround Apple with square brackets. I'll remove this colon, and then the URL is surrounded by parentheses. Let me run this in my simulator right now. And if we tap on the link, we're taken directly to the Apple website in the Safari app. Another handy link type to use in your strings might be a mail to link. So in this example, we can surround my name using square brackets. And I'll follow this by removing the space, but surrounding my email address with parentheses, but also add the mail to URL scheme. To test this out, I'm going to have to connect my iPhone. So when I run this now and bring my iPhone into view, I can see that my mail app will be opened and a new mail is automatically addressed to me as soon as I tap on that link. Well, let's go back to our sample string then and mark up that link to my website, CreateX Solutions. I'll use my company name, CreateX Solutions, as the visible text, surround it then in square brackets, and for the URL, I'm going to have to add the URL scheme, which is https:// before the actual URL, and make sure it's surrounded in parentheses. In this last section, let's mark up this text using inline markup styles for bold, italics, strike-through, and monospace. I'll let you decide which ones you want. You can see that the text gets marked up, but what if I wanted to display the actual markup symbols? Well, in that case, you can specify that the text should be displayed verbatim. On this tab, we're going to look at how we can use string interpolation to stylize our text views. In this form section right now, we have a simple string. Did you know that you can use string interpolation to display text views within another text view? Let's see. First, let's stylize this text using some Markdown. I want to make Summer and Vancouver bold and turn Grouse Mountain into a web link. So I'm going to use 2 asterisks to stylize the 2 bold strings. And then I'll use the web link for Grouse Mountain. And the URL for Grouse Mountain is simply just grousemountain.com. Now, what if I wanted to add an orange color to the bolded string Summer? Well, this is actually pretty easy. I'm going to cut out this string and then use a string interpolation to create a text view and put that string back in that text view. And as you see, nothing changes. However, because this is a text view here, we can actually apply a foreground color to that view within the string interpolation. So we can apply a foreground color of orange. Now, if we want to change the color of the link, you might think that we'd do the same. However, to change the color of links, we need to apply a tint to a string. And since there's only one link, I can apply that tint to the entire text view. So if we do that with a tint of green, that link will turn green and nothing else. However, if I want to also apply an underline style to this link, I'll need to turn it into a text view again using string interpolation. So as before, I'll cut out the entire link and then create, using string interpolation, a new text view, and I'll paste that text string in as the string here. And then I can apply an underline style to the text view. Nice. In the second section, you see that we've used an H stack to display the string, followed by an SF symbol. And just as an aside, I can improve the look of this symbol by applying the symbol rendering mode of multicolor. Well, this is a lot of code to display this single string with an SF symbol. So let me just copy this text view from the H stack, and then I'll copy the image, but use string interpolation to present it within the current text view. So let me create a constant for this image and its modifier, and I call it palette. I'm doing this within the body itself. And now let's recreate this using string interpolation, using the palette with the string interpolation. Now this gives us the same result. But if we want to set that palette to a font size of large title, we'll need to create a text view out of that, which we can do with the string interpolation, as we've seen already. And now that we have that, we can apply a font size of large title. Let me create another constant for this paint with string. Well, now that we have it, we can apply a foreground color, like red. Then how about taking that entire text view that we created in the previous example to show the large palette and use it to create another constant that we'll call large palette. So it's an actual text view. So we have intro string and large palette that are both text views. Well, we can use both of these to present a new string using string interpolation for both of these constants. So we'll create text with string interpolation for intro string and string interpolation again for large palette. Sweet. Working with attributed strings can be an entire large video just on that topic alone. And as I said, I left a couple of links in the description for you to explore further. But I do want to give you a flavor for what is possible here. As this text explains, attributed strings are character strings that have attributes for each individual character or ranges of characters. And attributes provide traits like visual styles and displays, accessibility for guided access, and hyperlink data for linking between data sources. We can control a lot more of the styling of characters and strings by using attributed strings instead of just plain strings or Markdown-based strings. We can apply a number of attributed strings attributes to that string, and there are many of them, but not all frameworks can use all attributes. And you can check out the documentation for attributes that are available for SwiftUI, for example, or UIKit or AppKit. And this is the attribute scope. If we drill down on the SwiftUI attributes, we see that we have color and layout attributes, as well as text styling attributes and more. Now we can create an attributed string as a computed property, like this. We'll create an attributed string using the AttributedStrings struct, and it can accept a string like important information. Then to stop Xcode from complaining, let's just return it. However, before we actually return, we can assign some attributes. So, for my string, let's apply a foreground color of red. Let's apply a background color of yellow. How about an underlined style of single? And then we can return my string. So if I create a text view, my initializer allows us to pass in attributed strings now, as well as just plain strings. So all we need to do is to create a text view using that attributed string. We can even use string interpolation, so that important information string in this text view is basically the same text as my string. So I can replace it using the string interpolation and use myString. Now, computed properties are fine, but we're likely going to want to create a function that will have a parameter for the string that we want to assign attributes to, and then return another attributed string. So let's do that. Let's create a function called highlight that has one parameter called string, and I'll hide the label by using an underscore, and it is of type string. But I'll also have another parameter that I'll call color, of type color, but we'll assign a default color of yellow, and this will return an attributed string. So we'll create an attributed string for that string. Then we'll assign an attribute of background color and apply the color that was our function parameter. But we'll also assign another attribute of underlined style of single, and then we return it. Now that we have that function, we can pass in any string and optionally a color, and it will return an attributed string. So let's create two constants. Our first one is going to be a constant called SwiftUI that will highlight the string SwiftUI, and will accept the default color of yellow. For the next one, I'm going to create a constant called UIKit that is going to highlight the string UIKit, but I'm also going to change the color to be pink. And I'll set the opacity to 0.4. And now here we can simply replace those two strings that we have here in this larger string using string interpolation and use our attributed versions of our constants. To finish this tutorial, let's dig a little deeper into attributed strings, and I'm going to create a function that we can call checkerboard, and it's going to accept a string as our previous function did and return some unique attributed string. And what I want to do is change each letter individually and alternate between black and white text with a corresponding black or white background. So let's first create an attributed string called result, but not pass in any string we received. So this will be empty, and we'll return this to stop the complaining. But before we do that, we want to append to the empty version each character from our string with different attributes. Well, this string is a sequence of characters, so we can loop through and we can grab the index as well for the letter if we use a for index letter in the string enumerated. Well, now we can extract and create an attributed string from that letter so long as we convert the character to a string. Well, now we can apply or assign attributes to that particular letter. So for example, we can assign a background color depending on whether or not the index is even or odd. So if it's even, we can use the index %2 equals 0 as our check. And that's the modulo operator, meaning that it'll provide us a remainder when the number is divided by 2. So if it's 0 or even, then we'll set the background color to white, else it will be black. Well, then the foreground color, we want the reverse. So we'll essentially do the same thing, but reverse the colors using that same check. And then since our result is initially an empty attributed string, we can add that single character that we've just formatted using the attributes to it, and then continue on the loop to build the entire string with different colored letters and backgrounds. And then we can simply apply an attribute itself to the entire result attributed string by setting the font to a monospaced system font of size 40 with weight being bold. And then it gets returned. So back in our example, in the advanced section here then, we can take that checkmate string and then first pass it through the checkerboard function, and we get checkerboarded text, and we can apply a border around the entire text view of black. That's pretty cool. In the hands of someone far more creative with some actual design sense, this could be really powerful. Well, I hope you've learned something in this video and will be able to find some use for it in your current or future projects. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. It really helps drive more people to my channel. And subscribe to the channel to get notifications of new videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you return to view more of my videos.